Sportscast March 23rd, 2020. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and iTunes. And if you're in iTunes, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. And visit us on thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net. Today's sponsor is Insta Bible app, Create Verses in Pictures. You could go and get the Insta Bible app in the Apple App Store. It's been a week since the NFL free agency has been open. Most of the big names are taken, but a few are left. Joining us to talk to us a little bit about what happened this past week, to rehash, Ryan Christa, you are now here at the Sportscast.
Santiago, thank you very much. Glad to be here. Glad to talk on some sort of sports, I guess, while we still can.
You know, it's been very interesting. Like, we thought sports was dead, but NFL had the free agency like nothing.
It's amazing. The NFL, like, you can't kill it. It's like, well, everything else is dead, you know. I mean, the NBA and NHL being stopped is the NFL because all eyes are on free agency. It's crazy, you know. I mean, normally free agency is big, but it's never been bigger because of the circumstances around, you know, not much going on. So getting a lot of headlines.
NBA, they were at the same spot as the NFL. But let's get started first. Obviously, big week. What was the biggest move this week for you?
I mean, the biggest headline, obviously, is Tom Brady. We talked a week ago, and you asked me where he was going to go. I said I don't think he'd go anywhere else other than going back to New England, because the only other option really seemed like was Tampa Bay, and it just seemed weird. But it's 2020 and everything's weird. Santiago and Tom Brady now plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, 2020, you've won. Oh my goodness.
Now, of course, there was a lot of rumors with the Chargers, but like for the Buccaneers, it was kind of last minute. Why Tampa Bay? What geared Tom Brady to the Bucs?
I mean, at first you start with the coach Bruce Arians, who's kind of definitely a player's coach. Easy guy to play for. You know, low key, pretty much the anti-Bill Belichick, basically. So I think that had a lot to do with it. Being on the East Coast, I think he wanted to keep his family on this side of the country. You know, I think his wife and kids are still going to stay in the New York area. So, I mean, it's not close, but it's, you know, you can take a 2-hour plane ride probably from, you know, Tampa to New York and he's back home. Or they can fly back to Tampa to visit. So I think that was important. And, like, you know, people may not realize, I mean, Tampa Bay's got a lot of offensive weapons, you know, because I think the key was last year, Jameis Winston put up huge numbers-wise, but his turnovers were, you know, a lot and in a crucial moment. So if you put that all together and you bring a whole thing in there who may not have, you know, the physical abilities right now of Jameis Winston, but he's got the leadership to kind of bring that in. You know, I think they feel like they got enough weapons around, you know, offensively and defensively right now to kind of put a good season together. And I think that division is going to be very, very interesting, especially, you know, we know how good the Saints are, and they keep on getting better. The Panthers, you know, are kind of an unknown, you know, with new coach, new quarterback. And the Falcons are kind of wrapping their offense back up with some of the additions they put on. So, I mean, I like to look at the NFC South as, you know, kind of that division of, look at me, you know, look, everybody's making moves.
Right now, the Buccaneers, obviously Brady could pass to Godwin or to Mike Evans. How much of a difference is his offensive powers compared to the Patriots?
Oh, I think they got a lot more weapons than the Patriots. I mean, that was kind of his, you know, big dispute with the Patriots, I think, was the lack of ability to put the game, you know, with James White and Sony Michel. But the wideouts just haven't really panned out. You remember last year they brought in Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown, you know, they drafted a wide receiver in the first round who was mostly out for the whole year. So he really had very few weapons. And I don't think they're planning on bringing any more new weapons in this year. Big name, at least in free agency. So I think that was kind of one of the reasons why they split. And I mean, you look at these opportunities in Tampa Bay. I mean, Mike Evans is unstoppable. Size and speed. This guy made Johnny Manziel look like amazing in college. And then Chris Godwin, did a little bit of everything. Speedster. So he's got a lot of players around him. Definitely. They may not be, I don't know if they'll be a playoff team, but they're definitely going to be an exciting team, the Buccaneers, for sure.
Of course, there's been rumors of Antonio Brown and Melvin Gordon going to Tampa. Well, not Melvin Gordon anymore. He's actually going to the Broncos. But having Antonio Brown going to Tampa Bay, would that be a necessity, or that would be just more weapons?
I don't think it's a necessity. I think that would be a hindrance. But I think him and Antonio Brown and Tom Brady, the short time they played together last year, really formed a good bond. And I think Tom Brady wants a little bit of familiarity that he had with him last year. I don't see it happening. I think Antonio Brown may have played his last plays in the NFL, if you ask me.
Cameron Brate is the tight end for Tampa Bay. Is that the right tight end for Brady?
Absolutely. Cameron Brate's definitely a receiving tight end. But, blocking and receiving, but really the big name you got to look at is O.J. Howard out of Alabama, a pure receiving tight end. Like I said, this team is fully loaded on everywhere on offense.
Something to definitely look at in the next couple of weeks. But, of course, Ryan doesn't think they'll win the NFC South. I do think they have the potential to do it.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the word you got to use, Santiago, potential. They got to put the same way on offense and defense. They were so close on both sides of the ball. I think they have a lot of playmakers on defense. They made a lot of great additions. They got Shaquille Barrett last year from the Broncos, who was basically a backup, and the guy had 19.5 sacks. Devin White last year was great for them. Defensively, they just got to put it kind of all together.
Time will only tell. Of course, you got the Panthers, which they just signed another quarterback. We'll get to that soon. That leaves the Patriots. Are they going to tank for Lawrence?
I was talking with Tyler this morning about this, Turner. He doesn't think he thinks the roster is too good to just tank. To me, I think they will. I think they're gonna. When you bring in Brian Hoyer, that lets me know that this. I think they've got their quarterback set for this year, and that's Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer. So that leads me to believe they're probably not going to draft a quarterback this year. If they do, it's not going to be early on. It's probably not going to be, another difference maker right away. To me, they do have a great defense, but I can see it both ways. I just don't see them making the playoffs. I think they would rather tank because I think if you're going to be, not make the playoffs, you want to get a best draft pick for next year.
Trevor Lawrence from Clemson, he is the prospective NFL quarterback, the prospective number one draft quarterback for next year's draft. Definitely to eye on. He has won college championship, made it to the final again this past year. So he's definitely a prospective. Ryan, let's look at what's remaining in the free agencies, the best remaining free agents. First, Clowney, Jadeveon Clowney. He his last team was with Seattle. What do you think? What do you think will happen to him?
I still think he ends up at Seattle. I think they're just working on the right number. I mean, it's probably gonna be another 1 or 2 year deal. He's just one of those guys. He makes plays here and there. A game and then it's quiet. If you're gonna pay a guy all that money, you want him to be productive every single game. He made a lot of great plays for the Texans. He made a lot of great plays last year for the Seahawks, but they were just so isolated. You'd be unstoppable one game, and invisible the next game. He reminds me a lot of Ndamukong Suh. Like, just you can't you just want them to be reliable. And if they were reliable every single game, these guys wouldn't be in the market. They'd be getting huge paydays because when they're good, they're good. But when they're bad, you don't even know they're on the field. And you can't be paying all that money for those type of people.
Biggest quarterback in the free agency, maybe not big for some people, is Jameson Winston. What's going to happen to him?
If I had to tell you, it looks like he's not going to be a starter because pretty much every starting quarterback's been filled for right now. I kind of like him in Pittsburgh.
Why?
We kind of saw last year that the Pittsburgh backup quarterbacks weren't that great. Mason Rudolph and
the Duck
Hodges. Were they backup quarterbacks? Yeah, I think they're both third string quarterbacks to me. Guys that can come in, once every year maybe to play, but they can help you out. But to me, guys that played that much football last year, they definitely show their limitations. And you got a guy in Jameis Winston, who's got all the talent in the world. He's just got to win between the ears. And then you got a guy in Ben Roethlisberger, your starter. I mean, if you look at him over the weekend, the guy looks like he hasn't left the house since his surgery in September. He's got a gigantic beard. He looks out of shape. So you kind of worried if you're a Steelers fan. Yeah, he shot a Nerf ball 100 yards, but it was a Nerf ball. So I'd be worried if I was a Steelers fan, and I think Jameis Winston could provide some stability.
Some say that he'll be good for the CFL.
He's too good for the CFL.
Another player, Robbie Anderson. He played for the Jets. Where do you think he'll end up?
It's tough because I think a lot of teams who need wide receivers are kind of holding off giving the big money because with this draft coming up, there's so many great great rookie wide receivers in this draft that who will get paid a rookie wage salary. So you're looking at a lot of these wide receivers not moving or they're not going to get these huge paydays because teams are like, why would we waste all this money on when we can get a good value pick in the draft? So it's really hard to tell. I could see him going back to the Jets. I keep on saying, I know that my Broncos, they need at least two new wide receivers. They literally have one starting wide receiver right now, and that's Cortland Sutton.
Which we'll get back to the Broncos a little bit later in the show about Melvin Gordon. Beyond that, Brashad Perriman, last play for the Buccaneers. Where do you think he should be playing at?
Kind of in the same boat as Robbie Anderson. This guy, came out, as a highly regarded first-round pick. Kind of flamed out. Got a lot of potential, tremendous amount of speed, but his inconsistency. Robbie Anderson, I think, a lot more consistent in his physical, his ability. You could say his lack of playmakers around Robbie Anderson kind of, limited him. But, Brashad Perriman, again, he's going to go to a team as a third or fourth wide receiver, so it's hard to tell.
Next one, Marcus Golden. He played for the Seattle Seahawks. No, Giants. Sorry, New York Giants.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know.
He is a outside linebacker.
Yeah. He's a guy, again, he's going to fill a need. We were talking about he'll fill a need. He'll probably be a first down, outside linebacker, and make a play or two, but not consistent enough that you would like to play the big bucks. Jermaine
Ifedi. He played for the Seahawks. He is a offensive tackle.
Oh, Mike Ifedi. I think you're one of the best run blockers in the NFL. I would like to see him go to the Broncos, but he's going to get. I know. I like to see.
Everyone should go to the Broncos. All the wash-ups.
Yeah. He's a guy. When again we're talking about that when he's good, he's good. When he's got plays on a good line, he's one of the best run blockers in the NFL. He just had a lot of injury issues. Again, probably going to get paid, a lot for a 1 or 2 year deal because if you get him good, he's going to be good.
Von Bell, last play for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, good safety. I'd like to see him go back to the Saints. I think he fills out their roster, especially since they lost. Well, they brought back Malcolm Jenkins, but I think him and Jenkins will play well together.
Hasten Peters, he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, offensive tackle.
Again, another offensive lineman who has had injury trouble. He was once a tight end in college for Texas, a little FYI. Gained a lot of weight, became a good offensive lineman for the Bills. He was actually involved in a trade that shed LaShawn McCoy from Philadelphia to Buffalo, and he went back from Buffalo to Philadelphia. Had a solid career for the Eagles. I don't think there's anything left on those tires, to be honest, Santiago.
Ndamukong Suh, last play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, again, one of the guys you talked about. Man, he's got all the talent in the world. I'd love to see him go back to Los Angeles to play with Aaron Donald, because when those two were together and they played well together, they were unstoppable. I think one of the big reasons why the Rams went to the Super Bowl. If you ever got time in this, the Saints and Rams championship game goes on. I know we talk about the pass interference call. I think one of the big reasons why the Rams won that game was the effort of Ndamukong Suh. He was unstoppable. But in that way, he didn't have a great year. Again, he had some good plays good moments for the Buccaneers. Again, probably looking at a 1-year deal, kind of another prove-it deal, which he didn't really prove it for the Buccaneers. Again, these are players I think who are going to be out there for a little bit. They're going to look for the best situation.
Why did he leave the L.A.?
Last year, he's only spent 1 year at the Buccaneers.
Yeah, but why did he leave L.A. Initially?
Well, I think the problem with the Rams, and they gave why they had to release Gurley, is they signed so many people 2 years ago for these high deals that it was impossible to keep them all underneath the salary cap. And they brought in Suh with a huge deal from when he signed with the Dolphins. When he got traded, they could only keep him for a year without really, sending him off on his way, because the amount of money he was making, they had to release him. So it was more of a salary cap issue than didn't want him there. And so it's again tough to fit these guys. They want to play, they want to make money, but they got to balance them off. And this is when you have these second tier free agents, who aren't going to get those huge deals, but they're looking for the best situation.
Lastly, Everson Griffin. He last played for the Minnesota Vikings, a defensive end.
Again, another ultra-talented guy, just knucklehead University, Santiago, this guy. Kind of wacko a little bit. When he was good, Santiago, he made that Vikings defense unstoppable. Great pass rusher, can stop the run. Again, I think who wants to take a risk on him, basically? You're going to get a talented guy, but you also know you could get a distraction with Everson Griffin.
What's the most common characteristic from all these players that I just told you?
Inconsistency, but talented.
They're there. They just need someone to put them in their place.
Here's a guy I know. This is more of an insight. A guy that I don't see making the list of being best available players, but a guy who had an amazing, 10 games for the Broncos last year before he got hurt, and that's a guy named Derek Wolfe. They've been on the Broncos for about 8 years from Cincinnati. He had a great year, great pass rusher from the defensive tackle spot and run stopper, but he broke his collarbone, and I think that's really what's stopping him, because I think he'd be a nice addition for a lot of teams. Derek
Wolfe is a defensive end. He played college football at the University of Cincinnati and was selected and drafted by the Denver Broncos in 2012. 36 overall by the Denver Broncos in 2012.
Yeah,
30 years old.
I think he had a lot of great years. One of the key contributors when they won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
The great Bronco era. Speaking about the Broncos, They signed Melvin Gordon, a high-caliber running back. What are your thoughts?
Well, the best way to protect a young quarterback is to give him a good running game. And we know what we get from Philip Lindsay. And Philip Lindsay isn't a big guy, so we know we can't give him the ball every single play. And we know, talk about inconsistency, and that's what Royce Freeman was, the backup running back from Oregon, who would make a great play, kind of, big, strong guy, but then every once in a while he just kind of get hung up, can't get the motor going. So if you're looking for a better 1-2 punch, and, Melvin Gordon is an awesome, Melvin Gordon can do a lot of different things. They're kind of similar, so, you're not going to get a thunder and lightning. You're going to get a lot of lightning with Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay.
Another signing by the Broncos today. They signed tight end Nick Vannett for 2 years, $5.7 million. Do you like this move?
It's a good solid. He's kind of those combo guy, more of a blocking guy. We drafted Noah Fant last year, who's one of those guys who plays tight end, but really he's a wide receiver. But you're kind of adding a guy like that to kind of add some stability with blocking.
Something to definitely look at. Have the Broncos done well for this free agency so far?
They've been solid. The biggest splash is Melvin Gordon. They kind of been just filling a need. I think we all, we look to see if they're going to make a big splash at the wide receiver, and since they haven't, so we're kind of, I think pretty much it's known that they're going to take at least one, if not two, wide receivers in the draft. They added A.J. Boye as a cornerback, but lost Chris Harris. So, we had a player in the name of Bryce Callahan last year who we paid a lot of money to, but he never got on the field last year because of season-ending injury. So that'll be a nice addition to have him back next year, probably starting opposite A.J. Boye.
Another team that is making big news is the Atlanta Falcons. They signed Treadwell. Yes, Laquan Treadwell from Minnesota. Is this a big move for Atlanta?
Again, this is a good potential guy. This, for the first year, this guy kind of got on the field. It seemed like last year he made some plays when he had chances. Again, I think that was a big loss to the Vikings because you're now losing Stephon Diggs, a good playmaker. So who are the Vikings going to have opposite Adam Thielen? I think when Adam Thielen was out last year, him and Diggs were a good combo. So I thought the Vikings just tried to keep Treadwell, but being that third wide receiver now for the Falcons with Ridley and Jones, I think it could be a good signing for them. Especially, if they can get anything from Todd Gurley this year, again, who's going to win the NFC South? There are four very good football teams, I think.
Speaking about Todd Gurley, actually signed Gurley this past weekend. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. Going back home, he played college football for the Georgia Bulldogs. We all knew that, with his knee injuries in college, he didn't have a lot in the NFL. And I think he played for teams, especially early on when they were the St. Louis Rams, who ran him ragged, and I think he lost a lot of mileage on, the first couple of years. But, he had a breakout year kind of again when they went to the Super Bowl, got paid a lot of money. Unfortunately, this thing of the Rams, they overpaid so many players that now they're releasing a lot of that core that went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Last year, you could just, started to see him definitely take not just one step, but maybe two steps slower. So, but if they can, balance him out there a little bit, find some good balance in the running game, I think Gurley would be a nice option for the Falcons because he can catch the ball. He's got good hands, especially if he can just become that inside runner. This a lot reminds me of when the Falcons picked up Steven Jackson towards the end of his career.
Looking at Atlanta's starting offensive starters, Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Treadwell, Hayden Hurst, Jake Matthews, James Carpenter, Alex Mack, Chris Lindstrom, and Caleb McGarry. They're all former first-round picks, Ryan. Is this a team to look out for in the NFC South?
Absolutely, Santiago. Like I said, who is going to step up? One of these four teams is gonna overachieve. One of them will probably be the same, and two of them will probably be whatever we thought, and one of them will underachieve because somebody's got to lose these games, somebody's got to win these games. I really love that offense. They just need to get, they haven't done much to address their defensive vulnerability, especially in the passing game, but it is a darn good offense, Santiago. If Matt Ryan's got anything left in the tank.
Cardinals, another team in the NFC. Look at this offense. Kenyon Drake, DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella. Is Cliff Kingsbury going to have fun calling these calls?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's got the players he wants. He can definitely spread it out. Again, I think it's finding out how to run this wide open, spread it out offense in the NFL. And I think Andy Reid kind of was the first one to really, perfect the combination of using those college concepts in the NFL world. Cliff Kingsbury had some success last year. I think Murray had some success. It's just finding the right, weapons and changing up the play calls just a little bit to match up the NFL game.
And there you have it. This is the NFL free agency week 1. As we mentioned before, there were a few. There's a few players out there that need to, still going through contract negotiations. Some players that are needing a new team, just like Cam Newton. Where do you think we'll end up, Ryan?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I think right now the Panthers, they signed, we'll talk about this, but they just signed P.J. Walker, a former XFL star.
They have 5 quarterbacks now.
Quarterback. Yep. Reunites with his college coach, Matt Rule. So, obviously, that's going to be their backup quarterback. So, in their head, I'm sure there's not much market for trading for Cam Newton. They're probably best to just release him, and this guy's got all the talent in the world, Santiago. It's just,
what is it?
Do you really trust the guy? It's, I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think he's a bad teammate. He doesn't take criticism, well, I've heard, and it kind of shows it in his media availability, but I've heard that from other, from Twitter, from, people who follow the Panthers, but he's not a bad teammate, but it's just something you really want him to be the leader of your team, and he's got some tread on the tires, he's got hit a lot, he's ran the ball a lot with the, Panthers. So, what does he have left? So
the wear and tear on Cam Newton's definitely displaying, even in his early 30s.
Does he go back? Does he go to the Steelers as their backup quarterback? Does he go to somebody like the Chargers?
How about the Redskins? I think it'd be a great spot. Ron Rivera's there. He can groom Dwayne Haskins.
He could, but I don't know. If I'm the organization, you played Haskins a lot last year. If they really think, this guy's the guy, and I think you just play him, win or lose. You got to see what you got in this guy.
But will Cam be willing to play as a backup?
I don't think so. So I think that's why he's going to hold out. So I think he's going to have a rude awakening like Jameis Winston is, that the market's kind of washed up for starters right now. And you also got to look at another guy. Andy Dalton's probably going to be traded here too.
Where's he going?
Could he be the guy who fills in the shoes for a year for the Patriots? I don't know. Like, again,
that's a great question mark.
Does he go to
or will it be Brian Hoyer?
You bring in Brian Hoyer, but again, the 1-year contract, it's probably easy to cut that guy if they're able to bring in Andy
Which Patriots
Dalton.
do cut a lot of guys.
This guy's been the team 3 times. I think they know what they have in Hoyer, and they wanted first crack at him. But, Dalton's a much better player than Hoyer.
Or will Hoyer groom Stidham?
I think that's the plan right now, but things are always, could change. And, I don't know, Santiago. Everything's up in the air. When we talk about Newton, Winston, Dalton, those are wild cards right now. Do these guys who've been starters for years, are they willing to take a backup role? We kind of see Marcus Mariota do that right away with the Raiders. Yeah, I think he's going to come in as second string, and will he get a chance to earn a job? Maybe, but he's got to earn it.
He has to earn it, which I can see him definitely working hard for that. But obviously, you're dealing with another starting quarterback. We don't know what the Raiders coach wants. Again,
you look. I know we don't talk about. I think you look at Derek Carr's making a lot of money, Santiago.
He can sit back and relax.
Well, I mean, if you're paying a guy all that money, you want him to be your starter. If he's not going to be your starter, then you got to cut him because you get. So
okay.
So when they signed Mariota, it was kind of okay, Mariota, here's your chance to earn your start.
And we got cut by Ryan. Let me give him a call back to end the show. We were just talking about the Panthers. They have 5 quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater. Ryan, you're back.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
We were telling the audience, they were asking me who the Panthers have as quarterback. They have 5 quarterbacks. They have Terry Bridgewater, Cam Newton, P.J. Walker, Kyle Allen, and Will Grier. Go back with the Raiders. Mariota, you think he's able to start there, or you think he's more of a let's put him on certain plays?
Yeah, I think he'll have a chance to earn a starting job, but like I said, he's going to come in as a second string. But if Derek Carr falters,
which he has.
Yeah. He's had his chance to Santiago, and you look at what Ryan Tannehill did at the same team and how good he did. So
they're in the same class as Jay Cutler. Inconsistency.
Yes.
I call it the Jay Cutler quarterback style. So
yeah, Mariota's got a lot of talent. He just hasn't been able to put it together. I think it has to do with the limit. I don't think he's always had the greatest weapons around him in Tennessee, but so I don't know if he's got great weapons around him Las Vegas, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens. NFL free agency still fleshing out. Of course, you can follow us on thesportscast.net for the latest and greatest when it comes to free agency.
Going back to the Panthers quarterback, I don't think you'll probably see him keep Kyle Allen. Obviously, we aren't going to keep Cam Newton. And Will Grier will probably be the odd man out on that.
Poor Will Grier had a great college career, but not able to make a stamp in the NFL.
I don't think his NFL career is over for sure. This guy's going to kind of probably bounce around as a backup quarterback because he's got a lot of talent. He's
like the Brian, he's pretty much in like the same pool as like the Brian Hoyer quarterback type.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer had his time. I think he did. Will Grier got a chance at the end of the year last year, but again, when you're playing the end of the year in a team that doesn't have much hope, it's hard to measure a guy up to see what type of quarterback he is. But I think it was more comfortability. They're bringing Teddy Bridgewater, who was with the New Orleans Saints, who
was undefeated, 5-0.
Yeah. And he also was coached by Joe Brady a couple of years ago, who was the LSU offensive coordinator, who is now the Panthers offensive coordinator. So he's familiarity with their offense, and now you get bring in a guy familiar with the head coach. So I think it's just trying to keep everybody on the same page. You got to remember, Santiago, there's going to be very little, if any, off-season training this year. So this off-season is about bringing people who you're familiar with, and they're familiar with you. You're not going to make a lot of radical moves because you can't teach a lot of things right now because you're the inability to meet with each other.
Ryan is correct. The off-season training will be diminished.
We're going to be lucky in Santiago to start training camp on time at this pace.
I just don't see it at the moment, but there is still time. There's some wiggle room, but the time is cutting a little bit short. The window is closing very fast, but NFL free agency is still happening. And, of course, the NFL draft coming April 23rd to 25th. It has been announced it'll be in a studio. We don't know if we'll be at the NFL headquarters in New York City or in Bristol, Connecticut.
I don't know. I think all you're going to do is you're going to have it at the NFL headquarters.
But New York City is not doing well right now.
NFL
if you haven't seen the news,
NFL Network will have a camera there, so ESPN. But then you'll have the host will probably be actually in the ESPN studios, and then
it should be like Boomer should be hosting it.
He will be. He'll be doing it. It's going to be different.
Him or Diana.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Anderson.
No, Diana from ESPN.
Oh, I know you're talking.
I know you're talking.
But
Yeah,
anyways,
she's out the field stuff.
But anyways, you're going to have cameras probably at every facility, and then the whoever is going to,
Diana Rossini. Apologies, Diana Rossini.
Yeah, I know exactly.
She's an uprising star in ESPN. Ryan, any closing words of the free agency?
Like we said, I think your top tier players have been signed, so now you've got your
second tier, your
guys,
inconsistencies.
Your inconsistency guys who have been around the league a little bit.
They need a second chance.
Looking for the right situation. Yeah. So you'll see these guys sign little by little, but you probably won't see long-term deals for these guys.
one year for like $18 million.
Yeah, I mean, and Dominican too, Santiago. He could be a difference maker, but he also could just not do anything. Ask the Miami Dolphins about that.
There you have it. Dolphins are definitely working on things. Random question of the day: what's your favorite kind of puppy? The options are Beagle, the Basset Hound, the King Charles Spaniel, or the Shun. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I would have out of that list. I'm picking the Beagle. But if I had my choice, I would say a Bulldog.
That's right. There's a lot of dogs out there, but but according to Google, these are the top 4 in the world. But some of these dogs I've never seen before. But there you have it, the Bulldog. Ryan, what is the best way to reach you to talk to you about PJ Walker?
Probably on Twitter on the Mad Dog Report. Yeah. So it's definitely been something in NFL free agency has come at the right time for us as sports fans. Will give us a little bit of a relief. Again, we're just in the waiting game with our major sports, and as the days approach, it doesn't look like we'll be seeing the Tokyo Olympics anytime soon.
No, that it's going to be postponed. Hasn't not been officially postponed, but it will be postponed eventually, I've heard.
Yeah, but what you got to remember, though, too, Santiago, and this is wishful thinking, is that, if we do have an NBA season, all those players who are planning on playing for Team USA will probably be playing in the playoffs if we do have playoffs in, basketball this year.
I don't think they'll have like the Olympics at all. If NBA playoffs do come back, it might be till like July, August, and it'll probably be a small tournament. I mean, I don't think it'll be everyone there.
So it all depends. If they just go right to the playoffs, which is a possibility, that the teams who didn't make the playoffs and are in top 8, they'll be done. Or you could see them play about 10 games and go to, maybe top 4. I don't know. I'd like to see him play the top 16 teams best, Santiago, but that's just me.
There you have it. NBA news is in limbo. NBA playoffs is in limbo, and you can reach us at the sport.
Best case scenario, Santiago, is that we're going to have a really fun summer. Worst case scenario,
which is unusual. Summers are pretty boring, except for like the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Of Major League Baseball, which is not saying much.
Yeah.
Or if you have a soccer tournament that summer, which like the big ones are canceled this summer. Potentially, the Premier League might be playing in the summer, but if they don't, they might just give the winner to Liverpool. But that's another podcast to talk about. And you can reach us at thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net, or on Twitter at thesportscast1, where we will deliver the latest and greatest news when it comes to sports. And we just had a article that was just posted by Justin Riley. XFL's PJ Walker signs with the Panthers. Another big scenario where you see a second-tier league. You see players jump into the NFL. The first division, I call it, and XFL is the lower division. But anyways, another day in sports. Ryan, Christa, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Santiago. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.